Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips is warning the government to prepare for the possible effects of a global recession. Dr. Phillips pointed to a slowdown of critical sectors of the world economy such as bauxite and alumina. In a news release this week, the mining ministry said urgent high-level talks are taking place about the Gisco Alpart plant in St. Elizabeth. The company laid off scores of contract workers, which it said was mainly due to the reduction in the world market price for alumina. In an interview with our news center, Dr. Phillips said Jamaica should have learned from past mistakes.
One of the things that we need to do is to carefully manage our situation, because in 2008, when the world economy really suffered from a great recession, the way we handled it in Jamaica then made things worse. I think the fact that we have given up so much of our bauxite and alumina revenues has not put the country well. The government needs to prepare for the possible effects, particularly in the bauxite sector.
There have been fears of a recession as U.S.-China trade tensions continue to drag on. Those fears heightened this week as bond markets reflected perceptions of greater short-term risk. For the opposition leader, more emphasis should be placed on the education sector in Jamaica.
Resources is what will enable us to withstand the pressures which will come from time to time. Instead, however, we are still with a Ministry of Education without a clear minister in charge. There are obviously problems in the results that have come out in CAPE, etc. And there are problems with PEP. So going into high school and leaving high school, we are seeing great challenges with the performance of our children.
Displeased with comments from both sides of the battle for the PNP presidency, the party's Election Monitoring Committee has issued a warning for an end to insults. This week, the private sector organization of Jamaica criticized what it said were disgusting, disrespectful and potentially dangerous outbursts by PNP members Basil Waite and Michael Phillips on the political platform. Chairman of the PNP's Election Monitoring Committee, Fitz Jackson, says the issue was discussed at a recent meeting.
With some of the utterances that we have seen, particularly in social media, and some of them which are carried in the mainstream media from campaign events by, different teams. When the committee met last, we have taken the decision to once again remind the campaign teams of the previous correspondence, imploring them to conduct themselves in a responsible and respectful way.
Mr. Jackson says the campaign teams for PNP President Dr. Peter Phillips and his challenger Peter Bunting were warned to be careful about what they say, adding there's a responsibility to protect the party's rich heritage. Meanwhile, Mr. Jackson says the committee is reviewing several other complaints.
There are some complaints regarding delegates lists, etc., which is being considered by the committee. We have had a number of hearings where parties have appeared and made presentations. Some of them will require further information that we need to make a decision, but we hope to conclude on those that are before us in very short order when the additional information that we have recently sought comes before us.
And there are more complaints from the One PNP camp aimed at PNP presidential candidate Peter Bunting for not being more supportive of previous activities in the party. We have details in this report.
Campaign manager of the One PNP campaign, Natalie Nita, is the latest to publicly raise issues about the Peter Bunting's challenge to Dr. Peter Phillips. Ms. Nita says Mr. Bunting's Rise United camp was gearing up for the challenge as early as April and used the Portland Eastern election as a proxy.
And while I was there working for Damien, people down there give out them one shirt. I give out them one shirt so that everywhere you went and every opportunity they got, they were giving their people, giving the people of Portland banking with Bunting. No PMP mark upon him. You ever said to you? It's a black shirt, pumpkin with bunting. No PMP logo. Where you could have said, yes, you know, it's a PMP man that.
She said if the effort and motive was matched back in April, the PNP would have won the Eastern Portland by-election and gained the momentum they needed for the general election.
And when I was there, I thought everybody there had the same motive I did. I did. I said to myself, every comer down there must have wanted Damien to win. Every one of us should have wanted Damien to win. But while I was there, I kind of figured, say, everybody would never have the same motive.
But with all the back and forth and pointing of fingers, Anthony Hilton, another member of the One PNP camp, says he has burning concern after the dust has settled on the 7th of September.
But I know that Peter is a fighter. Me know he was going to fight. So we said, well, a big fighter come. Mash up fighter come. And we are seeing evidence of that. Now, let me ask a question. Who is going to take responsibility for that? Who should take responsibility for that?
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Residents will soon have access to a technological application that can help bring attention to problems in their communities. Science and Technology Minister Favour Williams outlined the developments on Thursday at the official launch of the Jamaica Civil Servant of the Year Awards. She said the changes are in keeping with the government's commitment to work better for the people.
We are developing a prototype called the e-participation platform, or MyGov JM, kind of like the Twitter of government, to connect citizens with government in a variety of ways. So, for example, instead of citizens becoming frustrated from not being able to reach an agency or their political representative regarding, let's say, a pothole in their street, they'd be able to use their smartphones, take a picture of the pothole. Your phone would be geotech enabled, and you'd be able to click it and get that picture and the location, that information sent to the agency responsible.
And we'll have more stories in our midday news package right after these messages. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. The states of emergency in St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland have been negatively affecting businesses and entertainment events. Promoters and entertainment officials say more could have been done to prepare them for the losses. The director for the Negril Entertainment Association spoke about the impact.
The numbers have dropped significantly. We're no longer seeing events with over 500 or 1,000 persons as we did in the past. So some persons have chosen to just stay home and not venture to the events anymore. So that has impacted negatively on the promoters.
She wants stakeholders to discuss the issue and find solutions to minimize the effect on business operators.
We would have preferred if some notice was given and so arrangements could have been made to change dates, change location, change in module. However, that was not done. We welcome the state of emergency because, as you know, the crime was spiraling. The execution is where the members are concerned. And as it relates to businesses right now, the town is really like a ghost town after 9 o'clock.
Several cemeteries in St. Catherine are on the verge of closure. In an interview with TVJ News, Mayor of Spanish Town Norman Scott explained that the cemeteries are almost full.
Well, I know that number 5 is capacity filled. I hear that parts of the old church pen, that one is also at its capacity. Yorton is almost there, and I think even Commodore and Lloydasville are getting close to their capacity.
He believes it's time for the cemeteries to be closed.
I think we are now in a position to write to the Honorable Minister to advise him that those cemeteries can be closed, and we can't officially say it's closed until the Minister has issued the necessary documentation.
In the meantime, Mayor Scott said there are plans to build a new cemetery in the northern part of the parish.
We're looking at somewhere in Yorktown. No. It would more operate like what is happening currently at Commodore and Yorktown and Lloydersville.
Meanwhile, customers of a new cemetery in St. Catherine have been speaking out about the one-year-old facility. We have details in this report.
Since the official opening of a Tedford Park Cemetery in Old Harbour, St. Catherine last August, people from various parishes have been utilizing the facility. TVJ News caught up with several persons at the cemetery to get reactions about the operations at the graveyard.
It's okay, spacious, yes. But as time goes by, it will soon start getting loaded with deceases. You understand? So for the time being, it's okay.
We actually come to the cemetery because it's a more convenient one in Old Harbour. It's different from others. I guess it's new, it's a facelift, it has something to it. It's just different from others.
I think it's much safer and, comparing to Dovecote and this place. And I know this is new. So, but it's a very good location that they open up here.
We could have some trees or maybe some little sheds for sheltering for family members because it's really hot here.
As for the cost?
The pricing is like a little high, but I guess I pay for what I get, so I guess that's just work with it.
It would be a little bit steeper than the regular cemeteries, but I think maybe because they're just coming into sector right now, their pricing, yes, can be affordable, but compared to other cemeteries, it's a little bit steeper than that one, than those, basically.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Construction for a new water treatment plant in Westmoreland is set to begin next year. The new treatment plant should solve the recurring water shortage for communities served by the Logwood Treatment Plant in Hanover. It will use water from the Roaring River to bolster that supply. President of the National Water Commission NWC, Mark Barnett, says they are now in the final stages of finalizing the document.
Who are the preferred contracting entity, and we have to also finalize the financing source. So because it's not just about the treatment plant, it's about setting up, installing about 33 kilometers of transmission main from Roaring River to tie in Bullstrut possibly, and to tie back into the Logwood system down at Sheffield. So all that requires us to find the financing, and you're looking at financing to the tune of close to $100 million.
Farmers have received pineapple and pepper suckers under the 2019-2020 Production Incentive Program. Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, handed over the items on Thursday. Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth Northeastern, Evan Redmond, gave this message to farmers.
I am encouraging you, the farmers, to go out with these seedlings and produce, not to put them under a cool tree and expect them to produce there. Providing the assistance is one, but utilizing the assistance is another.
So that we grow our community, we uplift those who are around us, and we bring growth and prosperity to this wonderful island of ours.
The Production Incentive Program for the fiscal year is valued at $280 million. It targets the development of 9 crops: pineapple, yam, ginger, dasheen, hot pepper, Irish potatoes, onions, strawberry and cassava. The program is intended to benefit over 4,000 farmers directly and indirectly. And in sports, 2015 world champion Daniel Ants Williams will now be eligible to represent Jamaica at the Qatar World Championship starting next month after local governing body the J3As reversed its original stance. The matter was heavily ventilated at a board meeting Wednesday night.
Involving the final of the women's sprint hurdles at the National Senior Trials in June, the J3s had announced that it would name the 3 women to run the event in Qatar on August 16. At the time, the local governing body had said the top 3 based on world rankings as at August 16 would be eligible for selection, but Daniel Williams would not be included following her controversial disqualification at the national trials. However, in a media release on Thursday afternoon, the J3s announced that following international expertise advice and a review of the selection policy, the association concluded that the fairest way to proceed was to make its selection decision based on the multiple criteria listed in published policy. The J3s also said the women's sprint hurdles race at the national championships had been ruled null and void, and Williams' disqualification could therefore not stand, given that the race was never completed. The J3's release also stated that Jamaica's team for the World Championships will now be selected on September 6, which is the closing date for the submission of entries. The local governing body said its main consideration was fairness to all athletes and compliance with both J3As and IAAF rules. Williams, who is leading the diamond race, will line up against world record holder Kendra Harrison and 4 other Jamaicans, Janique Brown, Megan Tupper, Yannick Thompson and Janine Williams at Sunday's IAAF Diamond League in Birmingham. The 2015 world champion is the fastest Jamaican in the event this season after clocking a national record 12.32 seconds last month, and also leads the world ranking with 1,385 points, with Tupper second for Jamaica with 1,232 points, Brown third for Jamaica with 1,257, and Thompson the 4th best Jamaican with 1,402 points. The IAAF World Championships will be held in Doha, Qatar from September 28 to October 6.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. Now, on behalf of all of us here at TVJ, the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon and have a wonderful weekend.